Hey babes, welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name is Steph. Today we're going to talk about weird girl fiction, what it is, a reading challenge for the winter that me and a friend of mine have come up with, and some book recommendations so that you can play Weird Girl Winter Bingo.
It could change the world.
Before I get started, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. If you want to see more content like this, becoming a channel member at any level to get access to all of my book clubs, discords, extra content, downloadable content, all that jazz. Hashtag Weird Girl Winter is an idea that I originally heard from my friend Ren over on Book Talk at Ren Reads Lots, who's going to be linked in the description below so that you can follow them as well. But Ren posted a video on TikTok saying that they were interested in coming up with this idea to try to promote weird girl literature. And when I saw it, I was like, dude, that would make such a sick bingo board. So I messaged them, and lo and behold, this is the brainchild. I've got a couple recommendations for you based on some of the boxes on this bingo card. Now, it's not a readathon, it's not a read along, there's no Discord for this. It's just literally us and this bingo board with the hashtag Weird Girl Winter. So if you end up making any content around it, please do tag us. We would love to see it and use the hashtag so we can check it. There are a lot of other creators that I follow that I think are like way more versed in weird girl lit than I am. So I'll also drop some recommendations down below of some other people that I think you should follow if you want more recommendations. And Ren is also going to be making their own video recommendations over on TikTok. So what is weird girl lit? So I feel like I tend to gravitate towards this more when it's horror based, but it's not necessarily always horror. Think My Year of Rest and Relaxation. The reason I say that is because I feel like it is the most common or popular book that I can think of that falls into this category. It's a story that revolves around subverting the ideas of womanhood, women's expectations, and women's identity. Our main character tends to identify somewhere on the spectrum of womanhood. It's usually dealing with some things that are a bit heavy and going against the patriarchy, the status quo, kind of like sticking the middle finger up at society and the burdens of womanhood. To me, it's very much punk literature. Some of it a little bit more straightforward punk, some of it a little bit more subdued, which I think you'll see with some of the recs that I have here. It has become one of my favorite subgenres, and so a chance to read more weird girls, I'm gonna take that in a heartbeat. What I like about this is it's a seasonal reading challenge. So it's like, you got all winter, you know? It's about to be December. Let's start with the book recommendations. I recently read A Game in Yellow. This is my recommendation for the Dom Femme category. I can't get enough of my Dom women. They are delicious. They are amazing. I need more of them. I need all of them, actually. But this was a really incredible, like, existential cosmic horror around these two women who are in a lesbian relationship, and it does become a poly relationship. And it's very focused on the arc of their BDSM and how one partner, the Dom, who respects the safety and sanctity of their partner as the Dom and understands the full responsibility of being a Dom, is very careful with what they do as far as indulging in their partner's really dark kinks, and their partner wants to be pushed over the edge. It's dark, it's gritty, it's sad, it's gross, it's horrific. It's based off of A King in Yellow, which is a really old story, a horror story, Lovecraftian in nature, that was written in the late 1800s. And this just kind of spins it on its head. And it's so wildly interesting. I recently gave this 5 stars. For Leave Me Alone, I'm recommending Diavola. Diavola I read recently, and it was just so fun. I found this really funny, but it's a horror. It's not supposed to be funny. It's not a comedy. This is just me. It's a horror about this woman who's at a family get together in Italy, like a family reunion. You know, they're your typical American family, white American family who's like on vacation, and they kind of blame her for everything. She is the black sheep of the family. They are always like arguing and shit, and she's like, I can't stand being here, but there's a ghost, the place is haunted. Things happen to her family, and she's like, whoa, do I save myself, do I save them, what's happening with this ghost? And the haunting and where it goes, what she does with the ghost, I was like, this ending is incredible. I love it when my lesbians win. Speaking of winning lesbians, we have Goddess of Filth. This revolves around a handful of 20 to 21-year-old women who are all lost, and in their lostness decide that they are going to do a Ouija board. The Ouija board actually, within the first 3 pages, summons a deity, an Aztec deity, possesses one of the girls. And now she's doing things in her mom's front lawn, and her mom has to call the priest. But, like, can the priest really solve the problem of being possessed by an Aztec deity? Read it, find out. For Mother Knows Best, I'm going to recommend The Haunting of Alejandra. Also by the same author, V. Castro. Alejandra is a middle-aged woman with 2 kids or 3 kids. I want to say 2 kids. And, she's lost herself as a middle-aged woman. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's not happy. She's lost her Chicana heritage and culture because of her focusing on raising her kids and assimilating into American culture with her white husband, who's not prioritizing his wife's, history, mental health, any of that jazz. And La Llorona is haunting her and her children, and now she's like, I gotta do something about it. And she does. And it's pretty great. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. This has to go to Luster by Raven Leilani. This is a book that I desperately need to reread because I love this book so much. It follows a young woman, a young Black woman who is an artist, and she is like, she doesn't have shame. Shame is not something that really bothers her because it's not a priority. She is lost herself, and she is essentially kind of okay being considered the office whore. She's like, I don't care. She's living her best sexual life, and I love that for her. But she's got a sugar daddy who she agrees to go home with, so she kind of crosses her own boundaries that she usually sets by going home with him, and meets his wife. They're a suburban white couple. They adopted a little Black girl, and they are kind of like using her in a way to help raise their daughter, but she has no interest in being a mom. So there's this duality between her relationship with the parents and her relationship with their daughter that's really interesting. This book is absolutely wild, and I loved hearing the author talk about it. So I gotta revisit it. I actually gotta get myself a copy. The fact that I don't own a copy is a crime, actually. For Obsession, I'm going to recommend You Watched in Silence by H. Lee Justine. This is a horror mystery thriller. It is dark, and the twist is one of the best twists that I've read in a long time because I don't read thrillers very often. I'm very picky about my twists, but I like this one, so I do recommend this one. It is a lesbian horror, and our main character is a fan of an influencer who recently lost someone in their fandom due to horrific means. And so they are recovering from a scandal and have moved out to like the middle of the woods kind of thing. And so the fan got a job as a nanny for her 2 kids. Which, in it of itself, the fact that you're hiring a fan should be the first red flag. And that being the first red flag in the premise and opening of the book tells you that the red flags upon red flags upon red flags are going to be coming at 100 miles an hour. And they do. For queer, I gotta tell you to please, please, please read Walking Practice. This is one of an all-time favorite. It's like up there in, I think, in the all-time favorites category. I should make a new video about my all-time favorite read. But I love this little book. It's an alien. The alien is able to switch genders, but gender really isn't important to them and isn't the point. They're able to morph their body to change it into what they want it to look like so that they can match the preferences of people's dating profiles, so that when they go on a date with them, they bang and then they get eaten. And it's gross and it's great. And I love our alien Mumu's pet sauce. It's great. For mommy issues, I'm going to recommend Human Sacrifices. Now, this book, based on the title, you would think that it's full of that, but that's actually not what every story is about. This is a collection of short stories around different women. Now, each of the stories is not related, but each of the women main characters are dealing with motherhood or trauma from their mother, familial trauma, generational trauma, just like weird things, weird paranormal things. It covers so many genres, like each of the stories, but there's also one of them in here that is an homage to House of Leaves, and I love that. Okay, and then I'm also going to recommend Convenience Store Woman. I read this a really long time ago when I started BookTube, and I love it. It is a classic. It's not a horror, it is a literary fiction, but it's neurospicy. Our main character, to me, read as being on the autism spectrum, or maybe they had Asperger's. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not diagnosing them, but they definitely gave neurospicy. And to me, that is such an integral part of the story. So I'm recommending this for the neurospicy square. I also feel like I should recommend, like, there's other books that I feel like I've read that go into this, right? Like, I've read, for example, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. And I know that that one is really popular, but I feel like I can't recommend it because I didn't love it. But, like, that's a book that I think could fill one of these squares. Anyway, those are the recs I have. And I think what I'm going to try to do over the course of Weird Girl Winter is try to read as many books as possible that will fill in the remaining squares that I did not just recommend books for. So my goal is to have more so that hopefully, if this becomes a yearly thing, next winter, you'll get more recs from me. If you made it this far, I want to know what you think is weird. Leave me a weird emoji. I don't know what weird is to you, but whatever you think is like a weird emoji, drop it in the comments if you don't know what to put. I post videos whenever I feel like it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Mr. Wonka.